Welcome to Why Your Business is Invisible Online, the podcast that connects businesses online with the people they want to serve. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
I'm Jim Filatico. When I'm not helping my clients grow their businesses online, you can find me traveling with friends and family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs, and I'm the AT alien of the group. I love hanging with friends and family, and when I'm not doing that, you can find me on Peloton. I've clocked over 2,000 rides so far.
And I'm your host, John Manatas from Oakville, Ontario, Canada, with my guitar in hand, my Wi-Fi on life support, but always in tune with my clients. Okay, so this episode, guys, let's spend some time talking about the myths in our industry, and there's lots of them. Let me go through a bunch of them just so that it'll get the engines going in all of our heads. So here's a bunch of myths that I'd like to go through today if we can. We've all heard the myth around email marketing being obsolete. So love to get your thoughts on that one. How about this one? And see if this resonates. More traffic equals more success is another one. Another one is social media equals more leads. It's another interesting one. How about this one? Your Google business profile, or what used to be called Google My Business, isn't important. And I'm pretty sure we'll have some strong feelings about that one. Reviews don't matter. Now, I think most people understand to some degree that reviews matter, but there's a lot of controversy around where that topic can go. You can set it and forget it is an interesting one. And again, I'm sure we have a few stories around that one. And finally, this one, paid ads will solve all your problems is another good one. So, so give us some thought. Let's kick it off with this email one, because that's I think all of us have some interesting stories around email marketing is obsolete, even though it's been around for years. Is email marketing dead? What do you guys think? Kelly, I know you have some thoughts around that one, some strong thoughts. We'll kick it off with you.
Yeah, I think in a previous episode, I talked about how, you're coming away from a long vacation, and when you're returning to your work day, and probably the day before, if you're me, it may be, God forbid, even while you're on vacation, one of the first things that you do is check your email. You clean your email box. Mm-hmm. And so, there's some interest in it, and I'll tell you why I think it's important, but there's some interesting statistics around email. This one is according to Marketing Sherpa, but 61% of consumers enjoy receiving promotional emails. So and maybe it's that whole sense of, oh, I get a deal. Like I swear my husband's favorite 4-letter word is SALE.
I like that one too.
Yeah. For every $1 spent in email marketing, there is an average of $36 ROI for every $1. So it's a really inexpensive way to do marketing. And so here's another one that I think is very interesting. And this is according to over 1,000 U.S. consumers polled by Small Business Now report. This was in 2021, that consumers are most likely to be influenced to buy 34% via email marketing, 30% via text marketing, which we really haven't talked a lot about.
That'll be a future episode for sure.
Yeah. And then 20% by social media marketing. Now, it's hard. I think that's an interesting thing, because I think it's hard to disseminate. I think when Google Analytics 4 came about, one of the things they started to talk about is this like affiliate referral. So I think they all kind of work together in concert. But I say that to say ignoring email marketing is a mistake. And so I'll give you an example. So, I remember, most of the people that call us, they typically call us because we do specialize in growing your business, which means we're going to get you some leads, right? Marketing, at least marketing qualified leads, meaning that the marketing department has determined based on who you said your buyer persona is, that this should be a good person to align with what we sell, right? For the most part. So that lead then requires you to nurture it.
Yeah, there's that N from our
Right.
FOUND acronym.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the best way to do that, in my opinion, is through email marketing. You capture their email, and then you go into leads. But when people call, they're like, "Hey, this is my version of talking to a home services person. Hey, I need leads," right? Typically like
You forgot to swear.
right.
Sure.
They don't even care about they like, did you get me leads?
Right. Yeah.
And I paid you this much money, and what are we doing? And so I guess if you're in a just-in-time market, then that makes sense. But also, even if they're contacting you and you got their information, it could be that I don't know anybody now, especially in the home services market, that get one quote only, right? And so if you sent somebody a quote, and I think you talked about this last time, like there's leads probably sitting in your emails that you haven't even thought about, right? So you sent a quote, and if you only touch them one time, like you don't know where they were. Like maybe if it was a pipe burst, if it was, something emergency, it happened. Maybe they did a quick fix on it, right? Maybe they were like, I didn't need the plumber right now and I got it taken care of. But it maybe they just put a Band-Aid on it, and they're going to have to do something more extensive down the road. But because you were short-sighted and you just said, okay, the sale didn't happen and I'm moving on, and you did nothing to stay top of mind to them. You did nothing to say, hey, this is what's going through, or hey, what happens when you get a leak in your, I don't know, in your kitchen sink. I'm not a plumber, so forgive me. But whatever happens, what if you start giving me help? You just start, every week I see something, the Lori Gerber thing. Then what do I do next? Like when I need your services, or if maybe I didn't even use you, and maybe my plumber that I did use was horrible, and my friend is asking, hey, do you know a good plumber? You're going to be top of mind to me, right? Yep. And so I think when we have people that come to us and they say, and I have like, hey, go back to, hey, I just want to get leads. Then, we set up this really nice email campaign. And if they don't call you, my next question is like, I like having 2 call to actions on my landing page. One is call me now, or, call me, schedule a consultation. Those 2 things are obvious, but also, hey, if you want some more information, or when I'm trying to call, I'm trying to do some type of a value exchange to get that email so I can nurture them. Now, I don't need it to be first and foremost, because the first and foremost thing I need to do is obviously, if you're in need, I don't want you to have to search of how to find me. You should be able to find me right away. But if I could also, if short of that, if I can get your email and we can start to form a relationship and a connection, right? Which is, our tagline is, how do I connect with the right people? That's how you form connection. I think email is by far the best way for people. You're personally in their space. They are literally using their phones, or they're probably in their home to look at what it is you had to say. Another interesting statistic, though, guys, is when people are looking at your email on the phone, you got 9 seconds. 9
Yeah.
seconds. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
if you have a call to action, if you want to say you're in a sale, make sure they see that in the first 9 seconds. Maybe it's in your subject line. Be really careful about those things. Those are the tricks that really help. And then again, like I said, whether even if it's just a newsletter, like some kind of way, stay in touch with people, which is what I do. And I've done with especially the service industries, because that's where they're going to set themselves apart, because most of them aren't thinking about doing that with somebody that they paid for an ad.
Yeah. No, on the 9-second thing, right at the top of the email, typically I tend to, in one sentence, capture the benefit, like whatever it is whatever idea I'm trying to sell or whatever product or service, capture that benefit. And the next sentence right underneath it, again, without getting into the weeds, in one sentence, capture how I'm delivering that benefit. And right next to it is the call to action, a button.
Right next to it.
Very
Yeah,
clear.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. For detail-oriented people who want to go deeper, there's some information underneath for you.
Learn more.
Yeah, learn more kind of thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
But 9 seconds. Wow. How do you sell somebody in 9 seconds? But yeah, that's the only way to really do it. Wow. Okay. I've had Jim, any thoughts from your end in the world of email in terms of, because I think what we're saying is it works. So at your peril, you ignore it at your peril, kind of thing.
And I'll pile on with the home services situation, and I think the reason that it's important is when, like Kelly said, when you have an emergency, you got to take care of it. But next time, I mean, I'm a perfect example of I don't remember to get things tuned up. I don't remember to get, my HVAC tuned up and everything. And so if I'm reminded of that, there's a better chance that I'll do it. And so one of the home services companies that I have, they send out emails and they actually do texts as well. But they'll say it's time to change your air filter. They'll say, did you remember to change your batteries in your smoke detector? So they're trying to create value and give something away. But at the same time, their brand is showing up in their email box. And they're pretty soft sells, so to speak. So they don't necessarily push for that, but they'll show sales and they're trying to level out. What they've done is they try to level out when they're really super busy. Obviously, they don't need a lot of extra business because they may not have the capacity.
Right.
But when things slow down kind of in between seasons is when they'll make better offers. They'll make better offers and they'll, try to engage with that, because then, if you start working on your furnace, for instance, before the season hits, they're going to be slower. They'll be able to take care of the situation, and you're not going to be at 2:00 in the morning calling them saying, help, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you have it. Another thing they do is they have different programs where you can have like a membership. And so again, they get a discount. They offer a discount for a member. They get special, like they get first in line and those kind of things, but that's all part of that special email they get, reminding them of the value of that. Because someone that's paying for it, they want to know what I'm getting for it. And that's been very successful for them. And it does take out those peaks and valleys of business, right? When it's super hot or super cold and you don't have enough techs to go out, that's bad, because then they're going to go somewhere else. But if you can take care of it before the season hits by prompting that with an email, then obviously, and they actually do text, phone calls, and email. So they really try to be proactive as far as doing that. And they've been very successful because of that.
Hey, does anybody else do this? This is, I literally just did this the other day. We're remodeling our basement.
Okay.
Right. And so, my designer, anyway, I'm trying to use his services smartly. Set amount of hours that he could work with me. Yeah. Yep. So he was like, hey, do you want me to order your towel, or do you want to order them? I was like, I can order the towel. Like, no, don't waste your time ordering a towel for me. So he sends me to this shop I've never been to before. I mean, online. It's an online thing. And, he tells me what to order, tells me the square footage, all the things. So I go there and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like in the cart and then, they ask for my email. I was like, that's right. Let me give them my email first. And then I waited a day to see if they're going to offer me a
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
discount, SALD. Yeah.
offer me a
Oh, yeah.
discount because I'm ready to buy. They did not, by the way. They did not. They did not. I was
Yeah.
very disappointed. But that's
Yeah.
if you think about it, if you have that kind of service where you say, hey, sign up, do it. That's a great value exchange.
Mhm.
Then that's how you nurture repeat customers. It's a really smart way to go about doing it. By the way, they actually lost the sale because I was like, well, let me just see if let me just type this thing in. And somebody else was selling it and I didn't have to pay for shipping and handling and I'll just go pick it up. So anyway, I bet you if they had given me the 10%, I wouldn't have looked.
That's
I
it.
wouldn't have
Absolutely.
looked.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Yeah, exactly.
So,
That's another good
anyway.
example. Yeah. I was just going to say I tend to use emails quite a bit with sequences. I don't know if you guys have done like multiple sequences where
Sure. Yeah.
it's that word nurturing again, that letter N that we talk about. But like I'll use Instagram and Facebook to get the original lead, but depending on what the product is, like in this case, it was like elder care type services, and I didn't think it was enough to just do an amazing post on Instagram and Facebook and get them there. I think I really felt, okay, we're going to need some emails here to nurture this before they finally say, I'm gonna use your elder care services. I'm gonna actually use you. And so in this case, I think it was an eight email sequence, and not only 8 emails. I don't know if you guys have done this, but 8 emails, but in between the emails, so you create some space and time between your emails that you send, and every email has to have value in it, and it's a different aspect of the value of this elder care company. You highlight some new idea, but in between you have SMS, you have actually messaging that prompts them just to keep the flow going to make sure you're top of mind. So you insert that. And in this case, I think it was about 8 of them. But by the 8th email, they really understand you, especially if you've added value along the way. They understand your business, they understand your philosophy, they understand a little bit about the owner and their dedication. You've given them videos inserted in those emails. Again, the method is catch them early in the email, the first 9 seconds, and give them something of value underneath. Keep them short to the point. And I found you had to be really visual very quickly. People just don't want to read on and on anymore, like multiple paragraphs. Make it as visual as you can. Explain your visual and make it interesting. Otherwise, we had initially we had drop-offs. People just dropped off because there was a lot of words, not as much visual. And so yeah, I know people.
What is that? What's that? What's the thing? TDLR. Too long, didn't read.
Yeah, too long, didn't read.
Yeah,
yeah. That applies to emails big time.
Yeah.
But they work. So I say always tie in your lead. So get your lead from Facebook, Instagram, whatever makes sense for your business. But then, if you can attach a few emails to that with a sequence, you have a better chance of converting that customer into a true customer.
Hey, John, you mentioned the visuals. I've seen a lot, and I know it's kind of a back and forth on this. I've seen one where people don't even now, like if you look at some of the really strong people like Anil Patel, if you look at their emails, there's no visual. There's no visual. And for those of you who don't know, he's somebody who sells to digital marketing agencies. But when he sends an email, it's strictly text. And I've seen that with a lot of people where it's just, we're not going to, because people feel like, because if you think about I think it's subliminal. So if you think about when you're sending a message, if I'm sending you a message, right? I'm not sending you a picture of, look at my idea about let's get together next week. No, I'm getting to your point of getting to the point. Hey, we need to do this. Hey, we need to do that kind of thing. So any thoughts about, does it always have to be completely branded, or in your sequences, do you do just like messaging? I know for one of my clients what we started doing is people just love her. They really do. They love her. And so like for the last holiday that we did, like she's a health and wellness person. And so and I knew, like, they don't know, but she does yoga, right? And so her word for us, like, we have internal meetings and things like that. She's like, team, my word for the month is kindness, right? And so we were going into holiday. I was like, let's tell the world that your word for the month is kindness. Let's send a message to people. And like, generally we would lead with, hey, we're doing this event. Hey, we're doing that event. This time we led with, and I haven't looked at the numbers, I need to, we led with a message from her. And it's just about, it was something about, thank you for your kind. She was thanking her clients for their kindness and commitment. And so we kind of turned it on its feet that way, but just trying to have, and I did have a visual, but it was a picture of her and nothing, nothing.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
But I just wonder what your thoughts are with this, I guess, word.
If they know your brand, no, I think you can go to exactly Neil Patel. Everybody knows Neil Patel. That's the thing. His brand is established, and so I wouldn't. You can have 3 sentences with Neil Patel. He gets to the point right away. He gets to the value right away. So I don't think you need all that visual with Neil. However, I think if you're a new business though, and you're just starting out and you're trying to establish your brand, they don't really know who you are. Visuals help. Over time, though, yeah, if your database of people you're sending it to are the same people, what are you going to do? Keep talking about your, what you stand for? They know you already. It just depends if they're new clients, potential new clients versus existing database.
Which brings, sorry for the interruption, which brings upon the point of segmentation is. It's because it's context. There are different email platforms where you can even be like, look, for this segment, this is the email I want to go out. Don't show them this section, right? They don't, to your point, maybe I do want to say my values to people who have never, who maybe signed up for the newsletter, but they've never visited my shop.
Exactly.
I want to say something different to them, to the person that came in yesterday. Right? Like that's important. Context does matter. And personalization, I think, is the most important thing you can accomplish.
Absolutely, yeah. And I agree with both of you in that, depending on where you're at in that journey, right? Because when someone originally, whatever they do, they find you, right? Once they find you, they don't necessarily know who you are. So for the home services company, if it was just, so they saw something on Facebook, or they saw something, they don't know who you are. They don't have any feelings one way or the other, but they clicked anyway, right? So that, when you get them into the first email, you may want to include some stats. You may want to include some information about the company and that kind of thing. But the next email, once, as you go down the line, you're getting them closer.
Yes. So
where they get to know you better, then it's a different situation. So you can be more direct. You may not need as much information, as much fluff. But I think what's critical is that you stay on brand. If you have a certain type of tone, you want to keep that tone. Like the home services company that I'm with, they're very proud of their values. They're very proud of their mission statement. They're veteran owned. And so that's top of mind all the time, red, white, and blue everywhere. And it I think that builds that community, whether you're a vet or not. When you see red, white, and blue, you appreciate it, right? And so they take advantage of that, and I think they do a really good job. And they back it up with giving lunches away to the vets and doing donations and giving discounts certain months and different things. So that'll be a part of the email. So they know, like you said, segmentation, they know who their vets are. So they can offer that email to say, you get a $50 off coupon for the month of October or whatever, to try to get them to do it before the cold season, but still give them a discount. And then that person feels really special because they got the deal. So there's a tons of things you can do to make that person feel like you're directly talking to them. and feel special and feel wanted and feel appreciated. And that's what keeps, that's how you create those raving fans, right?
Exactly.
So that way, next time something happens, they don't even Google it. They just call you. I mean, ultimately, that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was my two cents.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, so clearly, we all believe that email marketing isn't obsolete. So there goes that myth. It's an essential part of anybody's strategy, and we'll elaborate on this going forward in future episodes. But we thought we would lead off with myth busting that particular one.
First myth busted.
Yeah. So let's move on to let's move on quickly to the next one here. So more traffic equals more success. So let's think about that for a second. There are a lot of things that can help us generate traffic, but is that enough? I had this client. It was a lawyer. All of a sudden, I'll never forget this day, actually, because they called me in a panic. And I hadn't had that from any one of my clients. Typically, things happen in our industry that could potentially create a panic, but I had never seen this before. Anyway, so she calls up and says, "John, you got to fix this right away." I said, "What's going on?" "It's killing our reputation. This has to come down." And I said, okay, let's slow down. Explain to me what's happening. Okay. She said, I went on to my blog page, and it's been taken over by these dating sites. And again, it's a lawyer, right? They're professionals. Being professional is a big part of their brand.
Yeah.
And all these dating sites were popping up. So yeah, thankfully it wasn't pornographic, which really didn't help. I still had to fix it right away. But the bottom line was that was the kind of traffic you don't want to get. But the lesson learned was that for every client you have, one of the most important things, especially if they have a WordPress website, you would think all you had to do was protect your password and login information and not give it to anybody, and that would be enough for somebody not to be able to hack into your website and put a bunch of dating sites onto your blogs. But there are backdoors everywhere if you don't have proper website maintenance, and that means updating all the plugins that your website has already built into it and any other openings. And this is where it gets technical. So I'm not a techie, so I'm not going to get into that. But bottom line is you have to keep updating your website, because people like to play, people who are developers and know how to hack, they like to play games sometimes. So thankfully, this wasn't that malicious. They were just being a pain, and we fixed it. And and from then on, they really enjoy paying for their website maintenance. They love seeing my report on a monthly basis, talking about all the plugins we fixed, all the themes we updated, and they've been happy ever since. And thankfully, also, knock on wood, it's never happened again. But yeah, that was a good story, and hopefully I don't have another one of those stories, and hopefully it never goes.
They got traffic, right?
They got traffic. Yeah. So yeah, not all traffic leads to success.
Yeah. I was just launching a website, and between the time that it launched and the SSL certificate, the security certificate that you see the little lock when you next to the URL up at the top.
Yeah.
Between that time that actually got activated, there was porn on this. It was a home services, home services restoration company,
mm-hmm.
and there was porn on their site.
Oh boy!
And thank God he had a great sense of humor, because I sent him a message. I said, "Hey, the website launched," and he and his buddy were in some sort of conference, and they just started looking at the website, and all of a sudden they're seeing this porn on the website.
Oh, geez.
So he texted me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I just launched a porn site."
Oh my God!
Without trying. So we were able to get it fixed.
That'll give you some traffic.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where, who knew and how they figured it out, but. Mm-hmm. The SSL certificate hadn't kicked in, and it takes some time sometimes for it to happen. And in the meantime, they wormed their way in, and like I said, thank God he had a good sense of humor. But it got fixed within an hour. But in the meantime, they were enjoying themselves.
It's an entertaining hour. For me, I'm gonna take a slightly different turn.
Mm-hmm.
So every month I look at I pour into the SEO reports for my clients just to see how we're doing, right?
Mm.
And so actually this is pretty recent. I looked at one of my clients' results and I'm like, oh shoot, like they're getting fewer impressions. Like, so from whatever, we look for certain keywords. Impression means the number of people that type them in that actually see that they're a potential website that they'd want to go to, for clarity. And so they were getting fewer impressions, which also led to less traffic coming to their website.
Yep.
So their traffic was starting to decrease. However, the click-through rate was higher.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so was the conversion. So to me, what that meant was, and then I went back and like, okay, what strategy changes did we do? Like we started to be more specific about who we wanted to visit. This was for an accountant, right? And so they had the strategy, I guess, the prequel to this is they were like, the people, yeah, we're getting leads, but the people that are calling, like they just want to pick our brain and then, probably are going to go and get the question answered and go back to TurboTax. Like it's a waste of our time. We're not doing that. And by the way, if we keep getting this, we're going to have to start charging for consultation, right? Because they're a business, they're for profit. And
right.
so, I didn't necessarily want them to do that. And so I'm like, okay, let's be more specific. Let's talk again, like who are the clients that you did receive that you're trying to get through. Now we actually had a bit of a breakthrough of they were not trying to get people who were doing side hustles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we had kind of marketed for before. Hey, you're doing a side hustle. Make sure they were looking for more 1099 employees. Not
what's a 1099?
Oh, that's good. Okay. So that just means they're contract, like they don't
independent contractor.
Independent contractor. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a big difference because they're probably making more money. This is like they're doing this. Like think about you could be a consultant, right?
Yeah.
You could be a freelancer, but those type of people, they tend to have more cash than somebody who is maybe doing Uber Eats on the side every now and then.
Yeah, you're trying to work 40 hours as best you can.
Exactly.
As much as you can. Okay, got it.
And so we were getting less of the we got less of the unwanted traffic, but more of the wanted traffic, which meant now he's getting the call. So now I'm connecting with the right people. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just a different example of how just because traffic went down, like don't sound the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
What KPI means the most to you is getting the right client to buy from you. It's like we got to look with the end in mind. And so like if traffic was our only indicator, we would have said we failed.
Right. So it's the right type of traffic that matters, not just any traffic at all. Is there anything like off the top of your head, is there any things you guys do specifically that generates the right type of traffic? How do you get the right type of traffic? What tricks are there out there to ensure that most of your traffic, maybe not all of it, but most of it is the right kind, the kind that has a higher potential to lead to conversions? Is there anything there that...
I think the big thing generically is just to be more specific about who your real persona is, who that real customer is, and then writing the content for that. I have a negative example of that where a new company, commercial company, B2B that provided services for other businesses and started out with an advertising campaign, and they were getting inundated for employment for people that wanted a job.
Oh, okay.
And so the first thing we did was put negative keywords in the ads to make sure that people that were searching for jobs weren't, the ad didn't come up. But when people don't have
negative keywords, just for our audiences, is more about guardrails, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. If someone types in employment or looking for a job for that, then the ad won't come up,
right? Because
you don't want to pay for that. But it turns out that people that want jobs are smart and don't necessarily type that in. And so, you think about it, you're like, okay, we probably wasted a little bit of money in ad spend or whatever. But the thing that you have to realize is that phone is ringing and someone's got to pick up the phone and say, sorry, we're not hiring, or please send a resume, or whatever whatever it is. Or there's a form fill that they do. And so, there's backlash and there's costs to that. So you have to really be careful and be very specific. So just because there's a bunch of people coming to the website doesn't mean it's always a positive. You want the customers that you want that are profitable for you, that, the ones you're looking for, those are the ones you want. So again, going back to the generic part of it, is just being very specific on what you're looking for, so that way that you attract those people.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like so far with our first two myths, the common theme that seems to be interweaving is this idea of segmentation, know your target persona, understand their journey, and that limits the bad type of traffic that's not going to lead to much and wastes a lot of time. Actually, if you get a lot of that lousy traffic, you want to fine tune it as much as possible. Okay, so let's jump to our third myth. Social media equals more leads. This is a really interesting one. I think we all know the importance of social media. Some platforms, I would say more than others, are more conducive to generating leads, and I guess it changes over time too. Like for a certain time period, maybe Facebook generated tons of leads. I don't know how much people are feeling it's changed to an environment now where people like to, socialize a lot more. They show, I'm at this restaurant, here's what I'm eating, take a photo, send it off to all my friends. You should definitely come and eat here. So it has evolved over the years. So that's just one platform. But I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of what types of platforms you think in the world of social, generate leads. But does that point make sense? Social media equals more leads in general, period.
No. And I'm going to say just a hard no.
Hard no.
Nothing makes me cringe more than I talk to somebody for the first time. And one of the questions I say, tell me about your online presence. Tell me about it. And they're like, oh, I have a great Instagram following. Like I'm selling through Instagram, like hit me up on Instagram. And then I'm like, so if I'll go, because this is just like there's a certain thing is owned media and earned media, right? Online. You do not own your Facebook account, your LinkedIn account, your any social media account. The platform that you own it. And the reason that that's important, I'm not saying don't do it. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying if you stop getting so caught up in people, like these same people are like, yeah, and I have over 10,000 followers on my Instagram. Okay, interesting. So your email list must be amazing. Oh no, it's about 100. Called vanity metrics. So when I say owned and earned, you own, I'm not saying you own the people, but you have the right to email the people that are on your email list. You have hopefully you got them correctly, but you have the right to email them. The people that are following you, they're just that followers. Typically, they're people who probably follow a lot of people, right? And so you don't own them. But if you decided, like what it tells me is that they're spending a lot of time and effort on their Instagram. And then I say, okay, so when you're posting on Instagram, what are you having people to do? Right? Like, where are they going?
Mm-hmm.
And they spend so much time here. You go to their website and you're like, oh, like, who is going to buy from, like, what is, this is a miss. And so
because their website isn't well built and things like that.
Well built. They're not, obviously they have no email marketing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
They have built something that's currently working for them
mm-hmm.
on whatever social media platform. But here's the risk.
Mm-hmm.
At any time, let's just go back to your example, or
mm-hmm.
something happened. Actually, I'll give you a perfect example. Sometimes, like, I have a healthcare provider who does massages,
mm-hmm.
one of them,
mm-hmm.
right? And when they do massages, sometimes we take pictures of that might look like it's something other than a massage, if you're following me. Like, it's above the, I mean, it's above the board, but just
mm-hmm.
the way we may have positioned it, it looks like it might be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Those platforms could identify it as that
mm-hmm.
and stop you. Now, Google does a better job of that. They're just like, hey, we took this picture down because it was questionable.
Right.
And they don't, I feel like they're a bit fairer, right?
Yeah.
They just like, they take that particular content down.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Facebook and Instagram, and I don't want to pinpoint them, but I do know a lot of people who built theirs and then they're like, oh, I lost everybody. Like, they got blocked.
Oh, period. Wow.
Period.
Yeah, it's more draconian. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then now what?
Mm-hmm.
Now what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Your whole business was built on people that you can no longer get back in touch with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe you can figure out a way to jimmy rig it and get it back. But so one, I think that this whole thought process of do social media with a purpose. And if you're doing organic posts, typically you're not doing it to get leads. You're doing it to get brand awareness.
Yes.
If you want to get leads, typically it's a pay to play on social. Typically. Mm-hmm. I mean, even the stars that got millions of followers
mm-hmm.
started it by doing ads to get those followers. That's what you don't see, right? Like they run an ad, follow me, and they have the money to do it. It mm-hmm. doesn't mean anything to them. So now they get all the followers. Okay. And now, I'm not saying they all did that, but they spent some money
mm-hmm.
to get followers. And then I guarantee you that, let's just call it, Kim Kardashian is
mm-hmm.
not building her online reputation strictly on her Instagram followers. I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to have other strategies besides that. Yeah. My only luck when it comes to my strategies, the only time I've had social generate leads is when it's pay to play, when I'm actually paying for it's paid ads, and the actual form where you leave your name and address is right there built into the ad. And they see the photo, they read a little bit of your content, it's to the point, and then they leave their name and address right away if it's a really good ad. And it might take a bunch to get them there. Like, you have to flood the zone. As we talked about earlier, you have to understand your target persona really well, use the targeting engine, like on Facebook, as best as you can. And it does work. So yeah, does social media equal leads? Yeah, if done right. However, let me ask you guys a question around social. Would you say it's a fair statement that everybody should have a social media strategy? Once they've figured out their target persona, it's critical from a long-term strategy perspective to use social media, whichever one makes sense for that business, because sometimes it's Facebook, sometimes it's Instagram, sometimes it's TikTok. It depends on who your target is.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, or LinkedIn. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that all of us should have a social media strategy. Is that a fair comment for all of our clients from a long-term brand building perspective?
Well, and you said it, it's brand building.
Yeah.
So when you, the way I explain it, and I've got a couple of med spas that I work with, the social posts that they do are all about building their brand, getting people used to seeing that brand, having it be, it's always very same colors, same fonts, same whatever, same tone. So that way, when you do a paid ad and it matches that, you've kind of gained that trust to take that next step.
Yeah.
So you build your audience with social, and then when you start to run ads, it's an addition to or an extension of the plain organic posts. So it's more natural feeling, but you've gained the right to do that and to ask for the order, so to speak. And so yeah, and I mean, we're all doing it for our businesses. We do LinkedIn a lot because we're trying to build our business and become thought leaders on LinkedIn about digital marketing or whatever we're talking about. So the same thing goes for all of our clients. Is nobody buys from a company they don't know, like, or trust. And the only way to get there is to start to build that. And that's where social media, I think, really helps.
Agree. Not exactly related to the myth, but I want to just get a quick thought from you guys around the trend of social being the place where people are now getting found. In other words, you typically Google was the search engine, period. But I know, Kelly, you've talked about this. Certain groups or demographic groups might prefer social over Google as their first choice. Maybe if you guys can elaborate a bit about your thoughts around how things are changing in that world where, of search, how to get found.
Yeah, I think that's a topic that people need to stay on top of. Meta has definitely said that basically they want to compete for that business. And why? Because the business is pretty profitable. So Meta is putting its own search engines in there. And if you need to understand, well, then how do I get found? So as they start to release, hey, we have the search engine in the same way that we're doing it with the chat bots, right? Like you need to understand what that criteria is for you to get found for two reasons. One, this might be a way for small business to outpace the big players. If you can crack the nut and say, okay, whatever, Meta is valuing hashtags. If I imagine hashtags is how they're going to do their searches. I imagine. It's how they kind of do it now, right? If I pull up a certain hashtag, it's going to tell me everybody that posts about that particular hashtag. That's how it works. And so it helps you with how often do I need to do it. And I want to circle back to something that I think is also important here. Like as you're talking about it, and you're talking about how much you want, you need to know how often the platform that you've chosen to be in, how often do you need to post, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because a lot of people are like, I'll do my own social media. And Jim, you alluded to it. We don't do our own social media. We'll supplement. And I think everybody should supplement. But because the algorithms are as strict as they are, you need somebody posting however consistently that particular medium needs it. So for us, for LinkedIn, at a minimum, we should be posting every single day. Every single weekday is what I'll say. Right. And so, and like TikTok is very unforgiving. Like once you start posting on TikTok and you're basically setting an expectation. Hey, TikTok, I'm going to post once a week. Hey, TikTok, I'm posting every Monday. The minute you miss a Monday, like they downgrade how they're going to view it. So you don't need to be the expert on that. Like you're a busy lawyer. You're a busy doctor. You're a busy whatever, fill in the blank. we're busy digital business owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I rely on my social media marketing specialists to tell me how many times I need to post, and I trust them to do it. But I just need them to tell me, oh, by the way, Kelly, we need some, can you go do a post? Hey, you're going to this event. Can you get me some pictures? Like whatever that is, put some personality into it. So it's not stock photos, Jim, like you were talking about, especially for med spas. If all med spas have is stock photos, am I
the same
really
person
going to trust them? Right.
It's funny. Just the other day, I read a stat that Gen Z typically doesn't go to Google for their first search. They'll use social. They'll go straight to TikTok and Instagram and get their information from those two sources first, and then they'll check out Google. Like for me, any repair in the house that my wife asks me to do, I don't go to Google first. I go straight to YouTube. And it tells me exactly how to do it. I don't even have to bother half the time to go to Google. So I think it's changing. I know, Jim, you're a big fan of Perplexity for a lot of things. You'll go there first to search out and explore a given thought or idea or problem you're looking to solve, and then you might go back to Google at some point and say, but 5 years ago it was just Google. That's it. That's all.
Right.
So that's changing. So I guess
John, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I had another.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. Yeah.
You just reminded me. Speaking of Gen Z, well, this is millennial. So I have a millennial daughter, and because I always get challenged about do people buy off of social media, and I feel like for the most part it's great for B2C. I think for the most part it's very good for B2C.
Yeah, e-commerce. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But services, even though it's B2C, is a little bit trickier because they tend to be a higher price point. And I was thinking anecdotally, you have a certain price point, you're good. But if you go over a certain price point, you probably shouldn't. But I've proven myself wrong. So imagine what my brain's doing. But so I was right, but I was wrong. So anyway, my daughter has 3 dogs. And for dog lovers out there, she has a Chihuahua, a Boston Terrier, and a Boston Terrier Frenchie mix.
Okay.
Probably 2 dogs too many for me, but anyway. So as you can imagine, it's super important for her to train said dogs, right? So one day she calls me, she's so excited. Mommy, guess what? I'm going to get my dogs trained. And I was like, oh, really? She's like, yeah, I was online and I found this place that they train dogs like they do canines, and I can send them away you can send the dogs away for training. But when I tell you it's not a cheap price tag to that, she's like, but they have another offer where I just go there and they're going to train my dog. $1,500 that she's willing to spend.
Wow.
Sight unseen.
And she saw this on TikTok?
TikTok. So she got the information off TikTok, and she called them obviously to, just verify. And I'll have to ask.
You
her.
hope.
You hope.
I think she was, no. I know she called them because she wanted to understand, like, were there any better prices?
Has she done it? Has she done it yet? I'm just curious. Where did this end up?
No. Actually, I think she did it for one of the dogs, but she didn't do the send away because it was crazy expensive. Okay. But for one of the dogs, she did. And I would venture to say he's probably the best behaved of the 3 dogs.
That's good. That's good.
I don't know if she didn't use it for the 3. Oh no, they were smart. They were like, all dogs have different personalities. So what might work for this dog won't work for the other dog.
Segmentation. Yeah.
So anyway, I guess, again, what I think they did smartly was somehow the algorithm told them, because she posts all the time about these 3 dogs, that, hey, here's a dog owner, and hey, here's what you could do. Also, the same daughter she gets my daughter has the most beautiful hair you've ever seen in your life. I'll show you one. Like it really is. It's amazing. Very thick and curly, like down to her waist.
Wow.
All her hair. Like most people think that she's bought some of this hair. Like as most people do to get this hair. But what's crazy is she gets approached all the time because of her hair to, hey, can you try my product out?
Yeah.
Oh,
influencer.
Okay. Yeah.
Influencer. So she does, but she's all into this social media thing.
That generation does that though. They trust people their age when they say this product works or whatever. And by the way, click the link below and I may make a little money on this. But they trust that over just going to Google and searching for something. Because I get stuff sent to me all the time from my daughter saying, we should buy this or you guys should buy this. And I'm like, where the hell did you find this? Right. But it's just a different, each different personas, each generations have different ways of approaching. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just different. And so for us, we need to be aware of that.
Yeah. So to this myth, social media equals more leads. Directly, yeah, not really, but you need it. You need to be found on social media, especially as things are evolving, in order to eventually have a chance at getting some leads. So there's some truth to that when I would say it's not a complete myth bust there. Google My Business, or Google, what it's called today, GBP, or Google Business Profile, isn't important. And I think we've heard that from, a few clients who don't think it's a big deal. We know different, at least I'll speak for myself, locally, for local SEO or locally being found. It is critical. And I'm sure you guys have some stories on where you've done bang up jobs or maybe some horror stories with GBPs, with people who have done nothing on them. Okay. So, I worked with a gentleman who sells blinds for homes and so forth. And he really didn't have a lot of confidence in, building up his Google business profile. But for me, it was, I wanted to eventually show him the merits of a bigger SEO package. But I knew that to kick things off, I said to him, for just a few $100s, I'll sit down with your entire business and I'll fill in every little corner, every little aspect of your Google business profile, including your entire inventory. Like I literally put every product he offers on there.
Wait a minute. Did you know? Did you know? Did you ask how many products?
Yeah, he did that one. Yeah. No, I did. It wasn't that much, so it was easy.
Okay.
Yeah. And he supplied all the photos in advance, and it was just, for me, it was cut and paste. But it doesn't take that long. It just takes some time to ask the right questions, and they appreciate it. They appreciate that you're diving into their business by asking all those questions. You're building that trust every step of the way. And so that's what it was like with this guy. He had no interest in digital. He's one of those gentlemen that just said, I have a referral business. It's a bit slow right now, but I'm fine. It's a referral business. And I said, yeah, but don't you want to be busy all the time? He goes, yeah, I'd love that. And I said, okay, well, why don't you let your Google business profile do the heavy lifting for you in those, slower seasons? And that's what got him hooked. But in the end, filling out that Google business profile with all the details that it allows you to fill in made all the difference. Literally, in my networking group, he'd come in every other week and say, man, that digital profile is getting me business all the time. It just sprinkling, like, because I still get most of my business from referrals, but this thing, when things are slow, it's constantly paying for itself big time. And so, he was thrilled with it in the end. And I think a lot of it had to do with putting his inventory with all the categories. And I didn't realize how many categories there were in the world of blinds, but there are quite a few. And it worked out perfectly. So I don't know if you guys have any success stories. I think we all get it in terms of how important it is, but I'd love to hear what you guys think.
It's interesting because what I would say is I always say, I just try to make things akin to, like, a lot of people are just used to physical buildings, right? Mm-hmm. So if I think about, if we think about the super highway of the internet, then if we're driving down the superhighway of the internet and we're riding down a block that has a whole bunch of stores, the actual physical stores are akin to your website online, like going into the store and learning everything you have to offer and walking down every row. It needs to be laid out correctly. But before I go there, I want to see, I'm doing some window shopping. And so the window shopping is Google Business Profile. Basically, where that's seen for context is if I type in personal injury lawyers near me, and this is how you can know, actually, that's how you can know whether it's important for your business or how important. So that's the difference between local and not. Like when you type in that near me,
yes,
and if Google thinks you are a local business, what you will see is what we call like the map pack, where, you see it like it's in the middle, you see a map, and then over to the left side, you see like typically 3, maybe 4 businesses that are highlighted there. And those 4 are doing what we call local SEO. And the number one ranking factor, you mentioned it, John, is having your Google Business Profile updated and relevant. And so what you do then is, okay, how do I get it relevant? To your point, John, then you fill out the Google Business Profile. I know when we started, and I haven't looked at the new numbers now, but in 2020, that only 42% of businesses had claimed their business, the Google Business Profile. So if you happen to be one of them, and again, if you still don't know if you've done it, you can type in your business name, and then if it's saying, "Do you own this business?"
Right. Would you like to claim this? Yeah.
You probably might need to claim it and do that. So
that still happens. I know that still happens
still
today.
Does happen, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it's an easy fix. It really just costs you your time because you're just going in there. You got to claim your business. That's a little bit of an instance because Google's going to send you something to verify that you're physically where you say you are, whatever. But then once you do that, you have this unique opportunity to really describe your business, what it is you do, what it is you do different. And it does end up it's actually the number one ranking factor. So if you do not have this filled out and you are supposed to show up for near me, then that's something that you do. And so I've worked with many companies that, let's go back to the example of when somebody says to me, "Oh, I have an Instagram," right? And then I at least say, "But are you at least listed on Google?" And they're like, "I don't know." And 9 times out of 10, they're not. And I'm like, let's just start here. And some people, even to your point, John, use that as kind of some people get away with doing that depending on how thorough it is and not even doing a website. I don't think that's sustainable, but it's a great starting place because people can then go there.
The one thing that people, and Kelly was just talking about it, that some people won't even have a website. They'll have like a Facebook page and a Google Business Profile. And that's kind of all they need for small business. A lot of restaurants are like that, where they'll have a Google Business Profile, so they'll show up for that. And then when you want to see their menu, it's either on their Google Business Profile or you go to their Facebook page, and it's a PDF or a picture of a menu. But it's an inexpensive way to kind of get in business. I had a particular situation with a carpet cleaning company. Carpet cleaning company's been around for 20 plus years, never really embraced digital, and did one of those, threw up a website and never touched the Google Business Profile and couldn't figure out why he wasn't getting leads. And he didn't have the year of, his Google Business Profile needed to be updated, but he didn't have the year he started, which is a factor within the Google Business Profile that says, okay, these guys are legit. They've been in business for a long time. And so that was critical. And we built a new website for him, and he wanted to do local service ads. He's local. He's a carpet cleaner. He can only go within 25, 30 miles of his location. So he couldn't figure out why he said, I'll pay for ads. And he couldn't figure out why his ads weren't showing up. And it turns out he didn't have enough reviews. And his Google business profile didn't have any images. And he didn't explain the services that he provided in any detail. And so we tuned up his Google business profile. We added images. We added frequently asked questions. We connected his social media that he had. All those things help build that authority that makes the Google business profile kind of the first place people look, right? And then the next thing, and Kelly mentioned it, that having a Google business profile is a number one ranking thing, but the second one is having reviews.
Yes.
And so he didn't have many reviews. And so when you looked at his competitors, they had more reviews, significantly more reviews, and they had better reviews. And his reviews were a year, 2 years old. So his homework was to go to his current clients he's used in the last 6 months, let's say, and ask for a review.
Yeah.
And I showed him how to get the little link, out of the Google business profile and put it on a text or an email or whatever. But he started getting reviews. And the next thing you know, his traffic went up on his website and his ads. He started actually being able to spend some money in ads to get leads, to convert more business because the profile was updated. He got more reviews. Therefore, Google said, these guys are legit, right? I trust them. I'm going to serve them up. I mean, he was Google guaranteed as a local service. He was doing local service ads. So, when you do Google guarantee, that means that you have an insurance certificate. Depending on your business, you have an insurance certificate and some sort of registration with the state. And that legitimizes the business, along with your profile, along with your website. All those things are important. So Google will actually serve you up at the top for local service ads. And so he started getting more and more leads. And now he's able to generate more leads, grow the business and all those things, basically from just tuning up the Google business profile and optimizing as best you can everything within that, including the reviews, to really make it all come together.
Yeah. Bottom line, I mean, it's the first thing we do as digital marketers and digital marketing consultants. It's the first thing we look at because it's an easy win to get clients rolling. Make sure we've optimized that Google business profile, especially for local searches. And so once that's done and optimized, then you can move on to more serious SEO tactics. But that has to be done up front. And so myth-wise, Google business profile is very, very important and is the first thing you should optimize. And that wraps up another episode. My name is John.
This is Jim.
And I'm Kelly. Thanks for joining. Hey, don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. Or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online? The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.